You okay?
The season kicked my butt. A little recap of my season. I started off slipping on the quad steps on a comp that was supposed to be for fun, and then immediately fell on national TV after 20 years of waiting to live out my dream. Yeah. That fall completely changed the way I approached Ninja as a sport and as a competition, and I turned into a completely different athlete and went on this awesome win streak, and then I injured my finger. Not fun. Out for 2 months? Yeah, not great. I came back from the finger injury in time to compete in the state championships, where I disappointed myself with a fall on the very last obstacle that cost me the championship title. Also not fun. And as I'm finally getting back into the swing of things after my finger injury, I destroy my elbow in about 4 different areas, putting me out of commission for the rest of the season. Yeah, talk about highs and lows. It's been tough, and to say that this has messed with my head is an understatement. So coming into Worlds was very bittersweet because I was super excited to be back with the ninja world, the ninja community, and at the same time, knowing that I wasn't all of who I was before was a difficult pill to swallow. And I sought out quite a few top ninjas who, could shed some insight to help me through this process. And that's why I made this video. I wanted to share my experiences and their experiences with all of you. So with that said, I did jump into a conversation about injuries specifically with, a little known ninja that's pretty good at what she does.
Injuries, they suck. I've been dealing with an injury for the last 2 months, and I'm very grateful that I didn't have to have surgery on this elbow and I have all the motion that I have, but getting back on obstacles has been so difficult for me because I want to play as hard as I can, but I also don't want to have the same thing happen to me twice. And for this athlete, it did kind of happen twice, but she has the heart of a champion, she overcame that, and she just put up the fastest time on stage 1. This is 2023's world champion and the reigning A&W women's champion, Addie Herman. Addie, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
What happened with your ankle first off?
Yeah, so taking this all the way back, I guess, before I ever did ninja, I was a gymnast. I did that pretty competitively. It was never my passion though, so it almost was like something I had to do. So when I had that first ankle injury I think it was when I was just turned 12. I was out in a boot for 6 months, so it was pretty bad. It was around a growth plate, which just messed up the entire process.
Yeah.
And kind of during that time that I was out for 6 months, I realized I didn't really miss gymnastics. I missed competing. I loved competing, being an athlete, but I didn't miss what I was doing. And that's actually what transitioned me into ninja. So really quickly, I was like, okay, this bad thing that happened, this injury that sucked, that kind of stopped my gymnastics career, allowed me to be able to do what I'm doing now. And then the more difficult injury was last April, so April of 2024, that would be. I was at a competition after kind of taking a while off to travel. I was giving my body a break, I was traveling, I was still training somewhat, but I had just gotten back to Vitality, my home gym. I had just started training really hard again. I wanted to chase those titles, prepare for the show, prepare for Worlds. There was like 5 competitions in a row coming up, and I was at a random competition at my home gym actually, set a link, missed, and the way that I landed was such a freak accident. I really don't, the doctors were very confused as to how it even happened. I landed in between 2 mats with my ankle already rolled, so I had an impaction fracture, like a spider crack on the bone from hitting the ground so hard. And then I fully tore 2 ligaments, but not on the same side of my foot, so separate sides.
Oh, okay.
And then a partial tear of another ligament and an avulsion fracture as well. So it was obliterated.
Avulsion fracture, ligament tear,
Yep.
tendon tear, joint dislocation. So
yeah.
all the works.
Crazy, right?
All the works.
Yeah, and it's like, how does this even happen? And it was definitely like a moment of reflection for me, kind of practicing what I preach, because I had been traveling, speaking to people for so long about your identity being in something rooted outside of ninja. And I think that's so important as a professional athlete, because there is nothing I love more than doing ninja, than competing, than pushing myself to these highest limits I can possibly reach. But if that's who you are, then if an injury happens or when you fail, you view yourself as a failure.
Yes.
So taking myself out of it and being like, this isn't who I am. I am so much more than ninja as a person. It's an amazing, wonderful thing I get to do that I'm so grateful for, but it's not who I am. It kind of allowed me to focus on those other things. And I think during that time I was recovering, like, yes, it sucked. I allowed myself to be upset about it because it was upsetting, but it wasn't like my life is over until my ankle's healed. It's what else can I do? So that's kind of how the obstacle line that I just created came out. I started using creativity in different ways, designing obstacles. I started speaking more, coaching more. And I think seeing that impact, it was another one of those, okay, this horrible thing ended up being used for so much good.
Right, yeah, I've been on the opposite end of that. Like you were saying, like when you put your identity into something and then it's taken away for even a short period of time, it's so difficult. When I was a distance runner, I was out for my senior year, and I was gone for a lot of college scouts, and I hit this low point, and I was banking on it so hard, and it just never went anywhere after that, and I was down for a long time, and it hurt, but it allowed me to really try other things, like you were saying, and I kind of helped me pivot into what I wanted to major in going into college and what I wanted to do as other hobbies. And I think it's super important, because this is amazing.
Right.
But this is one weekend, right? And it's a great weekend with memories that everyone will hold on to forever.
Yeah.
And friendships that they'll make, like my fellow cameramen over here that are, they're not gonna forget any of this. And I'm not gonna forget any of this either. But 4 days out of the rest of our lives.
Right.
And I love that identity part. Now, we talked about handling the injury. What happens when you step back on that starting block?
Yeah, that's something I definitely wasn't prepared for, because it was like, get back to when I'm cleared, when I can compete again, all of this. And I remember getting back into it and like running a course and being like, this is like, I've gotten worse. Like I haven't run a course in 4 months. What is this? And it was hard because I had put so much time and effort into maintaining my upper body strength that I think it was just different actually running a full course. So physically, I think the strength was still there, if not even better, because I put so much time into it. But the technical side, the mental side, I don't want to throw this dismount because I'm going to re-injure myself. That was hard to kind of process in my brain as, okay, this is me being safe, or, oh, this is me being scared.
Right. How do you get past that?
Yeah, so one, having people around you who you trust is probably the biggest thing for me. My team, like Noah, Kevin, even Nick, he's competing in elites too, and obviously Jordan, Thurston, having people who I know, they're gonna tell me if I shouldn't do this competition. They're gonna say, your ankle's still bad, don't do this comp. And they did when I first was getting back into things and I wasn't fully cleared. They're like, it's not worth it to do this comp. And having people who can hold me accountable for that is a big thing. I'd say mentally for myself though, is you have to be able to tell the difference between fear and kind of just like being scared of something or actually keeping yourself safe. And I think that only comes with a lot of training. So I did in training start pushing back dismount platforms in a safe way, whether it was on a mat or something else, and kind of knowing my body well enough so that I could look at a course at a comp I went to and say, that's not something I should be doing yet, or that's just me being scared, but I need to do it. I need to have the confidence to do it.
Right. Addie, you're an inspiration to everyone. You've inspired so many young athletes, especially young women, and it's been great to see, you're someone who's been at a high, and even at your lows in terms of a competitive standpoint, it's still pretty dang high. And it's really impressive. That's why I wanted to sit and talk with you in the first place. And I really hope that the people listening, they have something to take away from that.
Yeah, me too. And thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I think this needs to get out more, and people need to know this more, know to separate their identity from something they love to who they are. And I think that's so important for so many ninjas coming up too. So thank you.
Good job. Addie Herman.
My conversation with Addie put a lot into perspective about getting over those mental blocks of getting back into injury and having the right support system around you. Thankfully, the support system in my circle is truly amazing. I could not be more grateful for them, and I'm constantly leaning on them for advice and guidance and support every time I step into a gym and a competition, and honestly outside of that as well. So coming into Worlds, despite being satisfied and at peace with my injury thanks to Addie's advice, I was still very aimless and wondering what my purpose was at Worlds now that I wasn't Kane the Ninja. Thankfully, a ninja legend decided to sit down with me, and I got to talk with him about what it means to be part of the community. There are 2,600 athletes here at the World Championships, and majority of them are under the age of 18, which means so many different youth athletes have come to this sport, found it one way or another, and they all have their inspirations, their heroes, their favorite ninjas, and I'm sitting next to someone's favorite ninja right now. I'm sure he's some of your favorite ninjas. Please help me welcome the weatherman, Joe Moravsky. Joe, once again, I mean, big role model in the community, big role model for your feats on TV and for your impact off the course as well. It's something that I've been having a hard time with my injury and getting to run courses and whatnot is, you know, I love the kids that I coach, and I can't really lead by example, it feels like. And it kind of eats me up inside because, you know, I want them to see that I'm not just all talk. And that's something that I'm kind of hitting a block with. How would you feel like going about that?
I feel like it's different for some people, right? Because somebody like me, like it's not common to be a high-level elite athlete, or maybe used to be a high-level elite athlete.
You still are.
That also coaches. You know, a lot of the coaches out here may be parents or average ninjas, which is totally fine. But because of that, I feel like everybody has a different mindset of what they should be able to do as a coach and what they can do. And for me, yeah, like I'd like to be able to get up, be able to do the obstacle, show the kids this is how it's done. Whereas some coaches are coaching an elite level athlete and they can't do it. But you don't have to be an elite level athlete, and I think that's what's important. You don't need to have a name, you don't need to have a resume. You need to have passion, you need to have that willingness not to give up, and you need to study the sport. You know, I come from a science background. Sure, I did sports growing up, a ton of sports, and that helps. But having that science background, that analytical background, that's what helps me analyze this course and say, all right, make sure we keep our hips back here, make sure we go through it on this move, make sure you set, you know, all these things. You don't need to be a high-level ninja. Sure, it helps to know what it feels like and what it might feel like to be up there, but you don't need it.
No, I totally understand that. I spent, you know, the better part of living in Hawaii sketching out the obstacles and just studying, like you're saying, like drawing out dimensions, writing down, oh, so-and-so had great technique on this obstacle, because that was all that I could do. And I think that's really helped me coach because I can vocalize it really well.
Yeah.
And I can break down all the specifics. It does feel sometimes, though, they're like, well, then you do it. And you know, when they put you on the spot, right.
I don't want to show you up.
Right. But it's harder because you can, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, you might be able to tell when a teenager says that and they're like, all right, show me, tough guy. And then when a 9-year-old saying it, they're like, I kind of need to see it.
Yes.
Like, there's the difference there, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, nowadays with the skill of these 9-year-olds, since we're talking about them, some of them are better than an average ninja. Like, they're so good. You guys are so good. It's incredible. And it's really cool to see that growth. That's a whole other discussion. But yeah, I mean, to be able to get up and do it, I think as a coach, as long as you're not injured, it is probably important for you to be able to try it. Get up there, at least know what it's supposed to feel like, know where the challenges are in the obstacle. Like, oh, I see why you're having trouble. That ledge is really small. I didn't realize, you know? So those things are important.
You mentioned, you know, kind of the growth of the sport of these youth athletes especially. How does it feel being pretty much directly responsible for that in at least your region, your gym? You know, you have the stats.
Yeah, it's really weird because I think what makes it weird is the fact that time is flying. It's going so fast. I had the discussion yesterday. I was talking to my sister, and I was like, Sam, you know, my daughter's turning 10 this year. I'm like, what is going on? She does gymnastics. You're probably like, where is she out here? You know, she does gymnastics. Ninja's not her thing. My son's, though, we might see him here in a few years.
All right.
Maybe her too, we'll see. But either way, you know, it's just the growth of the sport, having the background courses, or the backyard courses, having so many years of ninja to study, you know, everything is happening at such an incredible pace. And to feel and to be said that I'm directly responsible in some way for that is cool. It's really cool that I'm part of the history of ninja, and it doesn't feel like it. Not yet, at least. Although I can see it.
It's history in the making, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not gone yet.
But I already know. I mean, you got a banner at the entrance for a reason, man. You've been a world champ.
Yeah.
You've been a last man standing. You've done so many big things that inspire so many people. And how do you handle the pressure of that? Do you ever feel any pressure, or are you kind of able to distinguish that?
I think so. The pressure hasn't changed. Like, there's always going to be pressure, and if there isn't, then you really shouldn't be competing, because that means you don't care.
Right.
And even if you can somehow shift gears in your mind and say, I don't care, I'm just going to go for it, there's still going to be nerves. So I think accepting it, like I've always been told, with anxiety, for example, try not to fight it, let it just move through you. You know, that's kind of how I treat the nerves.
Yeah.
Is I accept them and I let them back out.
That's
like,
great.
all right, this is normal. Everyone else is feeling this. This is not a solo thing that you're only dealing with. Every single athlete here is freaking out before they run. And I almost get this mental edge, because what I do is I say, oh, if they're freaking out that much, my competitors are freaking out that much, let's freak out just a little less.
Yes.
And it's like this whole mindset
Yes.
shift where now you have an edge because you recognize they're scared. I'm just going to be a little less.
I always come in with that mentality as a competitor myself. I was a distance runner, and I remember the state meet. There was this giant hill. Everyone was terrified of hills, and I said,
You're like,
that's my opportunity. And I was swallowing people up on that hill.
awesome.
And I love that that can be carried over here in a supportive way too, because ninja is so not like you're eating each other up, you know? Especially like these first few stages, you're brothers and sisters on this course, and it's really special. I love what you said about the anxiety and letting it flow out. You're never gonna get anywhere bottling it up. I remember stage one for me last year. It was my first Worlds, and I was driving to the Coliseum, and tears were just rolling down my face.
Yep.
And I was sitting next to my wife, and I just said, like, this is everything I ever wanted, and I don't know if I need to. But when I got it out, I felt so free. And I hit the starting block, and I cleared that stage, hit that buzzer, and I felt just relief.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's a completely necessary part of the process.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think we necessarily should accept defeat.
Right.
But there is something to be said about accepting that failure is bound to happen at some point, right? If we're so hung up on failure, I don't want to fail, I'm so scared to make this cliche, I'm going to try to static it. No, you train all year for this moment. Do what you do. If this was the gym and you're at practice, you're not going to think, oh, what if I fail? No, we train for this moment. And that's why training and practice is so important to get the mindset right. And I try to tell my kids that I coach at home that specific thing, but it's so hard, especially to a new ninja. They don't understand what that moment feels like, so it's really hard to get themselves in that moment in practice. But I got 12, 13 years of experience. I can close my eyes and immediately I can be on the biggest stage in any country. And I have so many places to pull anxiety from. It's great. It's also awful. Right. But that's a tool. You know, it's a tool to be used in practice, so you can put it to work in competition.
One last thing. How are you feeling? So your recent Instagram post had me a little.
Oh yeah. It was just a perfect storm, no pun intended, of all these little things. I'm not going to get into like the specifics, but let's just say, you know, dizziness, like to be laying down and to wake up abruptly. No bad dream. It's just like I woke up and I was tight and I was dizzy and I was like, oh, this is weird. So I stood up and I was still dizzy. And I was like, uh-oh. And I felt tightness and I was like, maybe something's going on. And I had a moment, dude, it was like 50-50. I was like, this could be a heart attack.
Yeah.
I was freaking out. I was like, my grandfather had one, my grandmother had one. So I'm like panicking now. was like, all right, we're good. Everything's fine. I said a prayer, and I've never been like, Jesus, if this is my time, I'm ready. But please don't take it.
Yes.
Like, you know, like that's what went through my head. And for that to go through my head tells me it was a serious moment. Went to the hospital, got checked out, everything checked out fine. Now I know, I think I had some tightness from a fall.
Okay.
There was a fall I posted on my Instagram a couple days before that. That was not me, although it was a far away shot, so it might have looked like me. But I did pull something in my back that I think came through. And just, I can't tell you what the dizziness was, but it happens. I'm 36. Maybe this is what life is.
Well, I'm glad you're up and running. I'm glad you're here with us and you know, able to share more about, you know, everything you've experienced, every little thing that's factored into who Joe Moravsky is today, the coach, the competitor, the superstar, man, like the weatherman. You're an inspiration, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, man. Love it.
Don't let those results define you. It's how you react to those results and how you can improve yourself. Even if it's your very first time here or if it's a repeat attempt, you're trying your best. Have a great time, and now is the time to make those memories, ladies and gentlemen. And with that said, let season 10 of the World Ninja League Championships begin!
My conversation with Joe was really humbling because I knew that I wasn't the main character of Ninja. I never expected to be that, and I never claimed to be that. But it really did make me feel like, man, I'm not even a side character. And that's okay. I'm not here for me, and that's fine. That means I can be here for the people around me, for the people that I care about, and the sport that I care about, and the community that has welcomed me with open arms. It's time for me to return the favor. So when I housed my friends and got to hang out with them and meet some of them for the first time this year, I took them to Level Up's open gym. And I didn't really play on obstacles too much because of my elbow, but I spent a lot of that time giving them pointers, making sure they were safe, making sure they were injury-free, and celebrating their moments. Because Ninja, yes, it's about running on obstacles and hitting buzzers as best as you can, but it's also about that camaraderie. And I lost sight of that. So thank you, Joe, for that course correction. My time at Level Up and with my friends at Worlds period was one of the best experiences of this year. It was truly unforgettable, and I'm always going to cherish the memories that we made together. But of course, there is that tiny little part in me that thinks, man, I really wish I competed.
You all right? It's supposed to be me.
But it can be. Remember what happened Wednesday?
Let's kick some buttocks.
At the cliffhanger here at Level Up, and this is his first competition run since then. Here he goes. Kane Casillas flowing in right now without a problem. Coming along now. Easy stuff right here. Kane sets himself up. Doesn't want to put too much strain on his elbow, but makes it easily. Here he goes. Takes the backswing. Attempted to underbar it, but going to take one more swing. Our adult male clear. Kane Casillas.
Buzzer at Level Up was super satisfying, and I was super excited to qualify for Worlds, but then it hit me. Oh my gosh, I have to run stage 1, and it was such short notice and impromptu decisions like all over the place that I needed to lock in. Who better to talk to than the ninja that I spoke with next?
One
One of the hardest things to do is be consistent in Ninja. One little slip up can end your entire season, a year of hard work. But consistency is also what makes the greats, such as our current world champion, who has had dozens and dozens of podiums, finally clinching his first title. Please help me welcome Noah Meunier. Noah, so we've seen you so high on pretty much every leaderboard, any WNL, NSC, you name it. The show, obviously, you've had a killer performance there. What do you do to get ready for a competition?
Well, I think that you're talking about consistency, and a lot of that isn't when you get out on the courses. It's about being consistent day in and day out in your training, in your life, and just making sure that you get done what needs to get done in order to come out and perform when the time does come.
Yeah, so typically coming into it, obviously every day is different, which means every comp is different. Have you ever had like a bad day where you've had to kind of adjust your mental game to really, really get focused?
Well, something to always remember is that motivation comes and goes, but discipline does not have to. And you don't need motivation to get done your training or stay disciplined and to get done what you need to do. Motivation is just an added bonus.
Yeah, totally. So you come in with this disciplined mindset, and you're saying, that's how you stay into it. Discipline's a difficult thing. It's a choice and it's an effort. What makes that choice easy for you?
It's definitely not easy, and I'll admit that I'm human. No, nothing is perfect, especially me, but I give it all to God, and I trust in Him that He gets me where I need to be, and at the end of the day, when I start the course, I just say, God, I'm giving this all to you. You do whatever you want with it, and I know that it's going to be the same no matter what at the end of the day. And if I win, all glory to you. If I lose, all glory to you. And he just keeps me level-headed, because if you go out there and you're relying your whole self-image or self-worth on how you do on the course, that's never going to go well, even if you win. So that's just something important to remember.
Beautiful answer, man. I mean, you said it yourself. You're human, so obviously it took a while to grow into that. What was that process like, and how long did it take for you to really get to where you are right now from a composure standpoint?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how long have I been doing Ninja? Like 8 years, and I've been competing my whole life. So that's just something I learned over time, and it's something that I think maybe came easier to me with my faith as a background and as a rock in my life. But I think if you have something like that, or if you can put all your trust in God, then that's what's going to help back that.
So if you have any advice for anyone who may be on that path of growth and learning, what would you say to them right now if they're watching this video?
I would say, remember that discipline is the most important thing, and motivation is just an added bonus. And to not have your identity in your results, to have your identity in something fixed that you know won't change.
Great words. Now he can add to his identity the title of world champion, but of course Noah Meunier, so much more. Stand-up human being, great guy. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Let's kick some
buttocks.
So that was my Worlds. 2 for 2 on stage 1 now, but stage 2 gets me yet again. And, you know, with the process of qualifying last minute, bouncing back from this injury, having my brain scattered between commentary and coaching and being there for friends and then stepping on the starting block, it was a lot to take in, and I don't know if I can fully communicate that to you. So I'm going to pass it over to someone who can. So many athletes step on the course not fully processing anything that they're dealing with. It's just them and the obstacles. And sometimes when those cracks break and reality kicks in, you know, the course doesn't seem as fun anymore and you lose your enjoyment and you take breaks and maybe you leave the sport. And, you know, the person I'm sitting with today, he is a prime example of bouncing back from that and going through all of those obstacles on and off the course, dealing with everything and coming out stronger as a result. Please welcome me in introducing the current king of ninja, Mr. Jackson Erdos. Don't laugh, you earned that title for sure.
I need to stay humble, so I'm not going to call myself that.
That's fair. I will call it for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much, man. You recently actually were just on A&W, and you know they spotlighted your focus on mental health as well, and that's a big reason why I wanted to talk to you. Tell me a little bit about your journey with mental health.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been doing ninja for almost 11 years now, and with that, as I was getting older, I also struggled with problems outside of ninja in my real life, because you got to be able to have a normal life and a life in ninja as well, and sometimes those things kind of don't mix too well together. So I struggled with depression from about 2021 to 2020, beginning of 2024, and one thing that I kind of forgot about was how much I love ninja, and I feel like that's something that you kind of it gets lost in translation sometimes because you're so focused on your performances and your results, but you forget that I came into the ninja gym, the Gravity Force, the day it opened, to do 3-foot laches. I didn't come to try and win Premier Series. I didn't come to try and get on A&W. I came because I loved doing it, and I kept going into the gym because I loved doing it. It was more of a hobby, and ninja is so it's so twisted between it being the most competitive sport in the entire world because it's you against hundreds of other people on a course for fall one time, you're done. But we also forget that you are doing things with a batarang, you have bolt cutters, you are doing flips in the middle of the air, catching different things. Like, how is a sport more fun than Ninja Warrior? It's not. Like, there's nothing you can do that'll make it more fun. And that's what you have to stick to, because for me, I struggle with a lot of depression, and I used to, and one thing that it turned into a worse situation by letting my performances define me as a person, because you have to have an athlete perspective and a lifestyle perspective.
Of course.
My lifestyle got too obsessed over my results, and with that, I wasn't enjoying ninja as much anymore. And
I feel like that balance is super difficult to find nowadays because we're in an era of the sport where, you know, athletes are getting sponsored, and, you know, we have gym owners and coaches at our age or a little older, and Ninja Warrior has become their life. It's become maybe their means of income. It's become their outlet for any stress or anxiety they might be feeling. And sometimes it's hard to unblur the lines. And is that something you'd say you probably had a hard time with?
It was so hard to blur the lines. I feel like you got to think about the reason why you're training.
Right.
And it shouldn't be for specific results at certain competitions, because like people say, it's ninja, anything can happen, but people don't understand how much that really does come into reality. You can't put all of your eggs into one basket in a sense when you compete, because the moments you should be remembering is the training sessions with your friends, learning how to do that sky hook around the sky hook, getting your first cliffhanger lache. Getting these things and the highlights of your career should be the moments you had with your friends, moments you had with your family, your first buzzer. You shouldn't be surrounding yourself by your first fail, your first slip on stage one, your first injury, because if those things didn't happen, you would not have that sort of character development that makes you into the well-rounded person you are. Not just a ninja, but a person, because that's who, I mean, when I think of Kane, I don't think of you as just a commentator. You're a person, you're a friend, you're an athlete, you're a cool guy, you make videos. Like, that's who you are. It shouldn't be about the specific injury you go through or the specific fall you have, because you have millions of neurons in your brain. It's not just the obstacles, and it's not just the falls, it's so much more. I think it's so important.
I mean, I think it's super important, again, we reiterate this. How many years was it until you got Elite World Champion?
It took about 9 years.
Right.
I started competing in season 1.
I think it's worth noting, like, it doesn't happen overnight.
Not at all.
It's gonna be rough, and you're gonna have your missteps, and you've risen past that, and you've shown that those do not define you. And you're such an inspiration for it, you know? I mean, you showed that on Ninja Junior, you showed that in both of your seasons on A&W so far. But more importantly, you've shown that when the entire community has got their eyes on you. Everyone that is everyone in Ninja, commentator, competitor, coach, gym owner, course designer, they saw that and they took something away from that. I took something away from that. And that's why I wanted to have you right here, because it's just such a powerful message, man. You're a great role model. I envy sometimes that I'm not at the Gravity Forge, being like getting your wisdom.
Dude, we get some crazy training sessions in. Come whenever you want. Yeah.
All right, for sure, man.
Of course, yeah.
Jackson, Erdos, everyone, thank you.
Yep, thank you so much.
You're awesome, man.
Yeah, looking forward to this weekend.
Erdos,
yeah.
Erdos, bro.
People always get it twisted.
I broke past the habit and then I fell right back into it.
Everyone's always bro. It took Ryan Stratus 5 years, so
okay.
you're a little bit ahead of him.
I'll take that.
Guys, at the end of the day, I mean, 10 days ago, I wasn't allowed to compete. And I mean, I just came in, saw this as an opportunity, had fun with it, took the advice of all these great people that I got to speak with in this video. And you know, I'm pretty proud of myself. You know, obviously I think I could have gone further on stage 2. I would have liked to have. And it's a little bit of a bummer when you fall off any course, but at the end of the day, I mean, this is what Ninja's all about. And this is the first time I've fallen with a smile on my face, like a real smile on my face. And not I'm smiling, but I'm upset. I'm happy with this. And I hope that's something that you guys can learn. If anyone's struggling with that, you're overthinking your courses, you're getting too in your head about a certain move or obstacle or whatever else, watch this video, it'll help. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all my friends who were featured in this video, helped me out produce it. Really appreciate your time. And subscribe. Till the next adventure, guys. Peace.
Killed me. I could have had that. That's fine. Thank you.
Let's go.
I'll take it. Oh my God. Let's take a walk.
It's more like my head turn here. It's more natural to look there.
Yeah, probably take a look.
That might be a good like off camera.
Right. That's what I'm going.
Ignore that camera. Okay.
Hey, what are your thoughts?
Give me a second, Bentley, all right?
We're doing an interview,
I got a
Bentley.
special guest here, you know?
Of course.
No, you're welcome to stay. You know you're in there, you know? I already got you from yesterday, don't worry. I love Bentley.
Yeah, he's great.
Kane's famous.
My name is print there, because honestly, my signature's kind of sloppy, bro. Yeah. That was sick. That was awesome. Hey, Billy, it's been an absolute pleasure commentating with you throughout this weekend. Guys, this has been your Elite Division. It's been awesome. It's been a dream. And this was one of the wildest Elite Divisions of all. Perfectly fitting for a 10th anniversary.
So I'm here with Najee Richardson, flying Phoenix. Quite a legend in your time, my
Yeah,
friend.
thanks, man.
And I mean, he's still kicking. He's still, I mean, he beat me. He outdid me just now. But at the end of the day, I mean, Najee, how much you been doing Ninja?
I haven't.
Fair enough. So what brings you out here?
So I made a bet with one of my students. I'm still coaching. I'm not so much competing anymore or training, but I made a bet with my student last year at Worlds. I told him if he made it to stage 3, this was me trying to motivate him. He struggled for a bit. I wasn't sure if he was going to make it to stage 3, but I saw that his confidence was down. And I said, if you make it to stage 3, I will come out of retirement and I'll compete next year. Sure enough, he made it to stage 3. And I'm here.
That's awesome,
Man
man.
of my word, man of my word.
You having a good time overall?
Oh yeah, man. It's always fun to get on this stuff and play around. I'm at a stage of my athletic career now where I don't really have any ambitions to, you know, make this my end all be all. I just really want to have fun. Oh, you're good. I'll see you later. Yeah, I don't really have any ambitions athletically anymore, so just having fun, man. That's what it's about for me.
Something I do quite a bit, especially on this last run. I think towards the back half, started to overthink. You know, and there's always the enjoyment in Ninja, but what would you say to someone out there who's maybe having a hard time with a block on some obstacles, a specific move, a spot on a course, so that way they just let loose a little?
I would say just try to remove the fact that you're in a competition and try to look at it as an opportunity to just play around and try and put yourself in your home gym environment, right? Like take the competition aspect away. Like if you were in your home gym environment, what would you do? You'd play around in the obstacle, you jump up and give it your best shot, right? That's what the competition is too. Just like jump up and give it your best shot, you know, do something different. Look at it as an opportunity to try an obstacle that you might not get to try when you go back home. You know what I mean? Like think of it like that. Take the pressure off your shoulders and, you know, tell yourself whatever happens, like it's all part of the sport. Whether you fall, that's part of the sport. Whether you complete it and move on, that's part of the sport too. You know, there's no failure in trying your best. You know what I mean? So just kind of like take that pressure off your shoulders. Yeah.
Najee Richardson, everyone. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No problem, dude.